On August 7, 2016, at the Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City, Kansas, a summer day of fun turned into horror. The park opened like any other, alive with the sounds of families, laughter, and rushing water. But inside the towering frame of the Verrückt water slide, tragedy was about to unfold. Verrückt, meaning insane in German, had opened just 2 years earlier, in July 2014. At 168 feet, 7 inches tall, higher than Niagara Falls, it was marketed as a record-breaking thrill ride that would push boundaries. That morning, among the park's visitors was 10-year-old Caleb Schwab, son of Kansas State Representative Scott Schwab. Caleb boarded the ride with 2 adult women he had never met, as the slide required groups of 3 to evenly distribute the raft's weight. But on that day, the balance wasn't enough. As the raft plunged down the near vertical drop, it picked up more speed than it could safely handle. On the second hill, it lifted completely off the slide, a flaw that had already been flagged during safety tests. Caleb was thrown from his seat and struck a metal support bar for the overhead safety net, killing him instantly. The impact was so violent it decapitated him. The 2 women riding with him suffered severe facial injuries, including a broken jaw and multiple fractures, but survived. The slide was designed by John Schooley, with input from Jeff Henry, co-owner of Schlitterbahn. The project had been rushed to meet a self-imposed deadline, partly so it could be featured on a Travel Channel special. The prototype was built in just 36 days, without input from licensed engineers. Even before it opened, warning signs were clear. By 2014, at least 13 riders had been injured, some in incidents where rafts went airborne. Yet the slide continued to operate.
I don't know why people think this is a criminal case. It makes no sense to me that it's a criminal case. It's just not.
Investigators later uncovered a disturbing pattern of negligence. Internal tests from 2014 revealed that the rafts were prone to going airborne, and accelerometers in test runs had issued warnings of potential serious injuries, warnings that were ignored. Just 3 weeks before the tragedy, the ride's braking system was flagged as faulty. In 10 days prior to Caleb's death, it had already failed. Despite this, operations manager Tyler Miles refused to shut the slide down. He was later accused of covering up previous injuries, including incidents involving the very raft Caleb had ridden. The bigger picture was even more troubling. Emails showed that Jeff Henry had imposed unrealistic deadlines, and lead designer John Schooley had signed off on false safety certifications. It became clear that profit and publicity had been prioritized over human safety. In 2017, the Schwab family settled for nearly $20 million. Receiving payments from multiple parties, including the water park and companies involved in the ride's construction. Then, in 2018, a grand jury filed criminal charges. Jeff Henry, John Schooley, Tyler Miles, and the park itself were indicted on counts including second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and reckless endangerment. However, in February 2019, Judge Robert Burns dismissed the charges, ruling that the prosecution had presented misleading evidence, including dramatized footage created for television that could have biased the jury. The dismissal sparked widespread outrage, with many believing justice had not been served, and the responsible parties had escaped accountability. Meanwhile, the Verrückt slide never reopened. Its demolition began quietly in November 2018 and was completed within 2 months. Today, the site is being redeveloped into a multi-port complex. What happened to Caleb Schwab was not a freak accident. It was the tragic result of rushed deadlines, ignored safety warnings, and a cover-up of critical failures.
But I think you and your attorneys believe that negligence caused
Oh
this
yeah,
accident.
it's an accident. But there's an accounting because someone was negligent. There's times where you're just like, I can't look at that right now. Then there's other times, you can't sleep, you want to look at it.
What do you miss most about Caleb?
Giving him hugs.
Hugs.
A child's life was taken, not by chance, but because responsible adults who should have intervened chose to look the other way, and to this day, no one has been held fully accountable. On a calm summer evening in June 2021, in the normally peaceful town of Holly Springs, Georgia, Just 35 miles north of Atlanta, where life typically follows a predictable rhythm, an ordinary traffic stop unexpectedly escalated into a tragic event no one could have anticipated.
What's in your pockets?
2317, 715, unit 4.
Let me see what's in your hand there.
Code 4, you're running in Denver.
That night, 2 officers were on duty. Sergeant Andrew Drake, a veteran of the department, and Officer Joe Buren, just 25 years old and still early in his career, but respected for his discipline and steady demeanor. Sergeant Drake initiated a traffic stop after clocking a vehicle at 72 mph in a 40 zone, blowing through the intersection at Harmony Lake Drive. It should have been routine. A ticket, maybe a warning, but the man behind the wheel was no ordinary driver. He was 29-year-old Annie Dolce, a known member of the violent money murder gang, a subset of the Bloods. Dolce was on parole for robbery in New York, facing an open domestic violence case in Illinois, and had been off the radar for nearly 2 years after removing his GPS ankle monitor. The U.S. Marshals had been tracking him for weeks, including surveillance near his mother's home in Waleska, Georgia, just days earlier. During the stop, Dolce gave a false name, his brother's, and could not produce a driver's license. The officers smelled a strong odor of marijuana, and in plain view saw several labeled baggies, along with a canister of leafy green material. It was clear he was hiding something. Dolce stepped out of the car, repeatedly asking to call his mother or an attorney, requests Officer Buren denied. When Sergeant Drake moved to arrest him, events took a deadly turn.
How come you have a fleet tag over the registration sticker?
You advised
It's a rental?
73 of 93, 73 of 93.
Who did you rent it from? Hertz.
72393.
Sorry? Can you call my mom, please? Not right now. If you're being honest with us, should get you out of here shortly. After we're done this.
Cherokee to 760, code 4.
Not at the moment, no. Why do you need a lawyer if what you're telling us is true?
Because you guys are about to arrest me.
Why?
2318.
Sorry?
I know the drill. You said you smell pot, so we're going to search the car. So you're going to arrest me and detain me.
Is there pot in there? How much? No. Just, no. Stop. Stop. Go back.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I was going to the car.
Stay on the ground. Turn down. Hands by your back! Hands by your back! Get the car! Hands by your back! Hands by your back!
60 or 715.
Without warning, Dolce lunged back into his car, threw it into gear, and sped off, dragging Officer Buren, who was partially caught through the driver's window. The vehicle surged forward for nearly 1,000 feet, gaining speed as Buren clung on, trapped between duty and survival. In those desperate final moments, Buren drew his weapon and fired multiple shots into the car, striking Dolce. The vehicle swerved off the road and crashed into a guardrail.
Army my drug!
Shit.
Dude!
Your now unit, what unit was that? Was it 60 or 17? I'm clear 17 and 29. Hickory at Harmony. Hickory at Harmony.
That's just here.
2319.
Got person in the car. Get that person in the car. Hickory Road.
Officer Buren, likely mortally injured in the initial impact, was rushed to the hospital, but later pronounced dead. Dolce, struck multiple times by gunfire, dies shortly after at a nearby medical facility. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation conducted an exhaustive review, resulting in a 251-page report that deemed Buren's use of deadly force justified under state law. The district attorney noted that had Dolce survived, he would have faced charges including felony murder, aggravated assault, obstruction, and numerous other offenses stemming from his attempt to flee. There were no official reparations or large city settlements, but the local community raised roughly $90,000 through a PayPal campaign for Buren's grieving family. What should have been a routine traffic stop, resolved with nothing more than paperwork, ended in tragedy. Officer Joe Buren, there simply as backup, never made it home, and the man who had spent years evading justice chose flight over surrender, sealing both of their fates in under a minute. In a quiet moment afterward, Sergeant Drake said Buren had saved his life, and that not a day passes without the weight of that memory, because sometimes it takes only one stop, one choice, and 1 second for everything to fall apart. On May 26, 2013, off the coast of Nigeria, the tugboat Jascon 4 was carrying out a routine task, stabilizing an oil tanker in Atlantic waters, when, without warning, disaster struck. Whether caused by a rogue wave or sudden mechanical failure remains uncertain, but the outcome was swift and catastrophic. The vessel capsized within seconds, plunging nearly 100 feet before coming to rest upside down on the ocean floor. 11 crew members were aboard, and none were expected to survive. 3 days later, on May 29th, South African saturation divers from DCN Global were sent to inspect the wreck and recover what they believed would be only bodies. Instead, inside the dark, overturned hull of the Jascon 4, they found something no one could have imagined.
Ceiling, yeah? Okay. What's that? Okay. That's horrible. Alright, you found one, yeah? He's alive, he's alive. Okay, keep him there, keep him there. Alright, just, alright. Alright, just hold him there, okay? Just keep him there. Alright, just keep him there and keep him calm, okay? Alright, just reassure him, pat him on the shoulder. Okay. Alright. Alright.
Right, let's get that hat on his head so we can reduce the CO2, please. Just want you to keep calm, okay? Are you feeling okay? Are you sore? Have you got any injuries? Okay. What's your name? Harrison. Okay, Harrison. My name is Colby. Okay, and I'm going to bring you home, okay? And the diver that helped you now, his name is Nico. Okay, that's Nico, okay? You mustn't take your hat off, okay? You must just breathe nicely, yeah? Okay. Alright, let's go. You hold your umbilical and you listen to me, okay? Alright, we're going now. Put your head underwater and breathe comfortably, okay?
Harrison O'Keen, the 29-year-old cook of the Jascon 4, had been in the bathroom when the vessel suddenly flipped. As frigid, black seawater surged through every corridor, he somehow avoided drowning, feeling his way through the overturned ship until he reached the engineer's office. There, in total darkness, he discovered a single air pocket, about 4 feet high, just large enough to keep his head above water. For the next 60 hours, O'Keen remained trapped, breathing stale, dwindling air, surrounded by silence broken only by the groan of twisting metal and the distant sounds of sea life feeding. Occasionally, debris shifted with a dull thud, and the water carried the smell of his deceased crewmates. When a recovery diver first spotted a hand in the murky water, he assumed it was a drifting corpse, until the hand gripped back. Startled, the diver recoiled, then shouted through the radio, "He's alive!" The team quickly equipped O'Keen with a diving helmet and prepared for a delicate extraction. At that depth, bringing him to the surface too quickly could have killed him instantly from decompression sickness. After his rescue, he spent another 60 hours in a pressurized chamber, allowing his body to slowly readjust before finally being released, weak but alive, into the arms of his shocked and grateful family. According to National Geographic, an air pocket of about 13.5 cubic meters, the size of the one that saved O'Keen, could sustain a person for roughly 56 hours before lethal carbon dioxide levels set in. He survived almost exactly that long. Many would later call it a miracle. But for O'Keen, it wasn't just physics that kept him alive. In those endless hours of isolation, he recited Psalm 54, the same verse his wife had texted him earlier that day, over and over, a whispered prayer for deliverance that gave him the strength to stay calm, not to panic, and to endure.
Lights went off and the vessel capsized. And I was there trying to, and the WC fell on my head and tear my head. And I was there struggling on how I can be able to open the door. When I was right there in the water, when I have access to nothing, right down inside the water, I thought of my family, thought of my mom, my brothers, my wife. I have access to none of them, no way to get to them. And I was right there in the water and I know I'm going to die. But the only thing I could put my hope and trust in and my confidence in is God. I don't know it's up to 3 days because I was thinking it's just a day, maybe it's getting to the evening. I was there, keep on praying. When I prayed for some time, I stopped. And I said, God, let that will be done as it is in heaven, because I have tried my best. And I have called on you and you have never failed me before. And you will never fail me at all in my life. So as I said that, to me, if death comes, let it come. If death did not come, I know He's going to rescue me. So as I was there like that, I kept calm, and I was bold because I was not afraid anymore, because I know it's life and death. The line is already drawn. If you want to come, let it come.
The other 11 crew members were not so fortunate. Harrison O'Keen was the sole survivor of the Jascon 4, a man entombed beneath the sea, clinging to faith, instinct, and a shrinking pocket of air to keep from becoming just another name claimed by the deep. On July 17, 2007, a domestic flight headed to Sao Paulo's Congonhas Airport, one of Brazil's busiest and most notoriously difficult airports, became the scene of one of the country's deadliest aviation disasters. TAM Airlines Flight 3554, a routine route from Porto Alegre to Sao Paulo, departed at 5:19 p.m. local time. The aircraft, an Airbus A320-233 powered by two AE V2500 engines, had joined TAM's fleet just 6 months earlier, in January 2007. Although it had logged over 21,000 flight hours, it was still relatively new by commercial standards. On board were 181 passengers and 6 crew members, including Captain Henrique Stefanini Daco, an experienced pilot with more than 13,000 flight hours, and First Officer Kleiber Lima, who had over 14,700 hours himself. One important detail about this aircraft was that the thrust reverser on Engine 2 had been deactivated, a condition allowed by aviation regulations, but one that made handling the plane during landing more challenging. This factor would soon prove critical. As Flight 30L54 approached Sao Paulo, weather conditions worsened. A steady rain had left the runway slick and treacherous. Congonhas was already known for its short runway and lack of grooving, a safety feature that helps drain water efficiently. That day, the runway was unforgiving. At 6:48 p.m. local time, Flight 3054 touched down on runway 35L at roughly 142 knots. What happened next was not immediately visible to those watching, but within seconds, it became clear something was seriously wrong. The aircraft failed to decelerate. Later investigations revealed that the flight data recorder captured a crucial error during landing. While the left thrust lever was correctly pulled back to idle and then to reverse thrust, activating the left engine's reverser, the right thrust lever remained set to climb power. This caused the right engine to keep pushing the plane forward at high speed, while the left engine attempted to slow it down. The result was a disastrous case of asymmetric thrust. Neither the auto brakes engaged nor the ground spoilers deployed, Within seconds, the jetliner was careening uncontrollably down the wet runway. Unable to slow, it veered sharply to the left, slid off the pavement at nearly 90 knots, crossed a major road, Avenida Washington Luis, and crashed into the TAM Express cargo building beside a Shell gas station. The ensuing explosion was instantaneous and catastrophic. Fueled by the aircraft's full load of fuel, the fire engulfed the entire structure, burning fiercely for hours. The destruction was so severe that identifying the victims took days. All 187 people on board died instantly, along with 12 individuals on the ground. Brazil's Center for Investigation and Prevention of Aeronautical Accidents, CENIPA, concluded the primary cause was pilot error, specifically mismanagement of the thrust levers during landing. However, the findings sparked widespread controversy. Critics pointed to the aircraft's mechanical setup, while others blamed the airport's infrastructure, its wet runway, lack of grooving, short length, and inadequate overrun area. Many also questioned why TAM allowed a flight to land under such adverse conditions with a known deactivated thrust reverser. In 2011, criminal charges were brought against several TAM executives, including the airline's director of safety and vice president, but all were acquitted by 2015. Meanwhile, TAM's insurer filed a $156 million lawsuit against Airbus, which ultimately failed, as Airbus denied responsibility, attributing the accident to pilot error. As with many tragedies, the truth likely lies not in a single mistake, but in the combination of multiple factors. Never did.